Gre- Greetings, everyone. I am Anisha Carruth Walcott, serving as a Senior Coordinator at the Tobago Office of the National Training Agency. It is my pleasure to extend a warm welcome to all of you who have joined us for today's webinar. This initiative is organized in commemoration of World Youth Skills Day 2023, centering around the theme Skilling Teachers, Trainers, and Youth for a Transformative Future, with a focus, of course, on youth development in Trinidad and Tobago. To delve deeper into this topic, we are privileged to have a panel of esteemed guests joining us today. And let me just introduce them for you. We have Ms. Anne-Marie Degazon, a youth and community work professional with over 30 years of service. Ms. Degazon currently serves as the Youth Development Director at the Tobago House of Assembly Division of Community Development, Youth Development and Sport. Next, we have Mr. Kofi Tony, who is the Senior Manager of Curriculum and Teaching Department at the NESC Technical Institute. Mr. Tony comes with a wealth of knowledge and experience in technical, vocational education and training arena. And finally, we have Ms. Carol Mitchell, who is the manager of the Academy for Vocational Education and Training, AVET unit at the MICIT. Ms. Mitchell is passionate about TVET and functions in many other capacities, such as external verifier with the National Training Agency, as well as examiner and moderator with the National Examination Council of Trinidad and Tobago. Now, this year's theme underscores the crucial role of education and skills development in shaping a future that is dynamic, inclusive, and transformative. It also recognizes the significance of equipping teachers and trainers with the necessary skills and knowledge to effectively guide and mentor young individuals. By investing in the professional development of educators, we can enhance the quality of education and ensure that they are equipped to meet the evolving needs of the youth. Furthermore, the focus extends to empowering youth themselves with the skills and competencies required to thrive in this ever changing world. Which leads me to a general question to the panel, to the panelists, or three esteemed guests here. And well, the theme World Youth Skills Day this year, as I mentioned above, transformative future. How would you define this term, transformative future? And we open the floor for any one of you to answer that question.
Can I take the lead?
Sure, Ms. Mitchell.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Ms. Carruth, for welcoming us to this webinar. So, Madam Moderator, transformative future. Allow me to express my definition by first defining transformative. Transformative is groundbreaking. It is life-changing. It is regenerative, renewing. It is recreating, and it's evolutionary. Transformative is a complete change in the appearance or character of something or someone for improvement or enhancement. It is game-changing. Now let's look at future. The future is, I would say, tomorrow or time to come. As such, for me, the term transformative future defines the fundamental shifting, adjusting, and or ending customary practices for improvement, resulting in positive economic and social impact. That, Madam Moderator, is my definition of the term transformative future. Thank you, Madam Moderator.
Thank you, Ms. Mitchell, for that. Okay, we open the floor for any other definitions.
I don't mind going next. I don't know how Ms. Mitchell wants us to come and to give a definition after she just gave that comprehensive definition of transformative. But I want to share, and I want to just go off a little bit in terms of what she said, because transformative does refer to change. And future talks about what is to come. It hasn't occurred as yet. So that when we talk about a transformative future, we're talking about the changes to come. And these changes will come across different spheres of our lives, whether it's education or otherwise. So transformative future looks at those changes that are meant to come. But then it leads into our next question, and it asks us the question of how do we prepare for that future across those different domains, based changes that are anticipated to occur. So it's not just talking about the change and the change that's coming in the future, but also now how are we going to prepare for that change across those particular domains. So I'm just adding to what Ms. Mitchell said there.
Most certainly, and I'm sure we would have a chance to discuss how we would prepare for those changes that are coming in the future later on in the discussion. So, Ms. Degazo,
All right,
take
well,
it away.
okay, so I'm happy to jump in last. And I want to say, though, that I want to view this transformative future not just as change, but a positive change. Look at it in terms of an improvement in society. But because I'm looking at it from a youth development perspective, I want to take it just a little further in relating it to two concepts in youth development. And one is positive youth development, which featuring young people's strengths and their skills and looking after their general well-being and participation in society. And then the other concept, which is one that I like very, very much, speaks to generational equity, which recognizes that the decisions that we make now or the actions that we take, including some of those transformative actions, should be taken in the context of an understanding and an appreciation that it will impact future generations and should not compromise the ability of those future generations to meet their own needs and aspirations. So it's a huge responsibility on us. And therefore, when I look at transformative future in that respect, and in the context of youth development, I would say that it should emphasize the empowerment of young people with their skills, knowledge, and resources to become agents of change. Within their communities, of course, while ensuring the sustainability of future generations. And I'm certain in our further discussions, we will talk about how that impacts directly on the opportunities and how we engage young persons.
Most certainly, because, and I like how you emphasize the importance of, having the various backgrounds, because persons or youths, they come from diverse backgrounds. So regardless of their background, you always have to talk about having that access to quality learning opportunities. So you have to be able to empower the teachers and those youth become catalysts for positive change. So yes, I certainly agree with that. So thank you very much, my three guests, for that comprehensive definition or or outlook on what transformative future is for you. So Miss Mitchell, I have a question for you as the manager of the academy. Well, AFET, I would just shorten it. So share with us how your organization, which is MICIT, through the various aspects of the TVET program, that's a diploma in TVET, I think you would say more about it, befittingly equipping teachers, trainers, education for this transformative future.
Thank you again, Madam Moderator. Our technical vocational, let me give you the correct name, even though it's a long name, vocational instructor teacher training diploma program.
Thank you very much.
This program is designed to promote professional development of technical vocational educators. Developed with the technical vocational educators in mind, this program is built to reflect the unique demands of skill training. In our program, students will complete 15 core courses, which have been tailored to build capacity in pedagogy and andragogy for the 21st century. Through exploration of evidence-based teaching strategies and methods using practical applications and a collaborative learning environment, students will be able to adopt the skills and tools which are integral in being successful, in being a successful technical vocational educator. This program is a value-added program, and I mean really, really value-added. It is intended to allow technical educators to transform and evolve their practice to better serve their institutions and their students in the classrooms and the workshops. The diploma program is, of course, a study that empowers the TVET educators. This program provides the necessary foundation for the teaching and learning environment required for the 21st century. Let me share with you some important information that is relevant as it pertains to this program. This diploma program comprises of 3 trimesters, which are 15 weeks each. The classes are facilitated Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays from 4 to 8. The model of delivery is blended. So we have expanded the program to accommodate the vocational educators. And this, Madam Moderator, is the information for and about our diploma program. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mitchell, for that. Any of our panelists would like to ask Ms. Mitchell any?
Well, I definitely would like to probably come in here. I think this is something that is very interesting and necessary. Because many persons sometimes think, hey, because I know how to do a skill, I know how to teach a skill. And to me, there could be worlds of differences in there. So I want to ask, maybe tell us how long this has been going on and what has been the kind of results that you are seeing or improvements, and how prepared are these tutors to relate to the varying age groups of persons that we have.
Thank you, Ms. Digazon. This program has been around since 2009. I am a product of that program. My skill area is in fashion, dressmaking, and design. I was hired at my organization to teach fashion. I had no idea how to teach, but I had to learn. I know my skill, I can do my skill, but I had to disseminate information to participants in the program. So I was enrolled in this diploma program, and I'm telling you, there has never been one regret. Let me tell you what was regret. Ooh, it was plenty. It was plenty work. But you know what? In the end, it was beneficial, and it still is beneficial. So the program really started for MIC's instructors. We would have had YTEP, NESC, CERVOL instructors participating in the program. We also had some Ministry of Education teachers. But the problem was the Ministry of Education teachers were looking for something to get an upgrade. So they started doing the program since in the early time. However, based on the demand from the TVET instructors, the Ministry of Education met with MIC's hierarchy, and we had to make amendments and adjustments to the curriculum to suit or include the Ministry of Education teachers. As such, it took a while, it took some time. And in 2020 or so, 21, it was finally approved by the CPU that this program is the approved program for the Ministry of Education teachers to facilitate in and for them to get upgraded from levels 1. So if they are TVT 1, they will be upgraded to TVT 3. If they are TVT 2, they will be upgraded to TVT 4. Let me add also Ms. Picasso and Mr. Kufi. We have had participants right now in our program who are in Tobago. We have had some participants from NESC. We have had a whole cohort, as a matter of fact, from the NESC. So going forward, Ms. Digazo, I again, as I say, this is not just a webinar for us to come and talk to each other, but after this webinar, we will be talking to each other quite a lot so that the THA could announce and promote this program for your teachers in Tobago.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. Any other questions?
Yes, Ms. Mitchell, I love that. I love the sound of that. Yes,
Me too.
definitely. Yes, Mr. Tony.
Yeah, I was going to say we do have a cohort of instructors who would have gone through that program, and we have seen the benefits. We have seen those instructors go from one level to the next. They have improved tremendously in their ability to deliver to our young people. So this program, and as well as Ms. Mitchell and I have had a very recent conversation on how we could move that forward a little bit more. So I'm very confident that this program will endure and help to develop our teachers so that when we're treating with persons in the TVET sector and the youths are coming to us, we can give them the best experience possible.
Thank you for that endorsement, Mr. Tooney.
Yes, and I actually strongly believe in continuous upskilling for educators in the TVET landscape, especially how TVET is rapidly evolving, and even in terms of the advancement in technology, those e-learning platforms, and I'm sure for the ones in Tobago, they probably may have been instances where you all had to apply the blending learning approaches to accommodate the students there? Or is it that the facilitator had to come to Tobago to conduct the program?
Well, before it would have been like that, but as of now, we go to them. We as the instructors, we go to them. We observe them in their natural environment. So the teaching and learning process is done using the Moodle platform. That's our learning management system. That's the main system that we use. We also use Zoom and Microsoft Teams. So whenever there's a cohort, we have had, this program was facilitated also in St. Martin. But now, since COVID, I must say, COVID has its disadvantages, but for me, it has more advantages in that when I assumed duty as manager of this unit, we had students who were, it was a face-to-face presentation or delivery of the modules. And I tried to indoctrinate the students into moving to the online platform.
Right.
Oh, it was a challenge. We would have some accepting the move to the online challenge, but you would still have some coming to the centers. And then COVID came. So we had to fully go online. Now the program is accredited for blended. So we must have that face-to-face component. So the face-to-face component would be where we come to see the students in the practicum sessions. So we have practicums 1 and 2. We see the students in their natural environment for the practicum 1 and 2. So we use technology, and the technology allows us to reach students far and wide because we have students from Citrus Point, and it would be challenging. It was challenging for them after work. Now with the technology we have students who are on their way home and they are accessing the information, or they're in class while they are transiting from work to home. So again, I love technology. It's great for this. As a matter of fact, it's great for education to reach those in the foreign or the rural area.
Most certainly, most certainly. Okay, thank you, Ms. Go ahead.
I'm saying that I'm interested in knowing how do you get into this program, because and especially from the perspective of the young graduates who might not have looked at this field as an option in terms of their career and so on. Is there an ease of entry into it or some pre-requirements that persons may have?
There are some pre-requirements, but one requirement that you must have is a skill. It's not an academic program. It's a skilled program. We are not teaching you your skill. We are teaching you how to teach your skill. So you must have a skill to enter our program. The requirements are some CSEC passes, a master, I can't remember the requirements exactly, but it's on our website, the entry requirements. And it's a course, it's gate approved. The total cost of our program is $19,040. Tuition is $15,000, administrative fees $3,000, $1,000 registration, $40 application. Gate only covers $15,000 of the tuition. We have had gate coverage since 2010. I am one of the first students who would have received gate for this program.
Oh, great.
All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Mitchell. Okay.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Tony, as Manager of Curriculum and Teaching Services at NESC Technical Institute, tell us, how can teaching and curriculum be designed to meet the demands of this transformative future, and also while ensuring the development of our youths?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Now, NESC and NESC, I'm proud to say, delivers a blended curriculum in TVET, and that's one of the first things I want to bring across. And when we start talking about how teaching and curriculum could meet this transformative future, we have to start talking about first having curriculum that is future-driven and responsive to this transformative future. And to be able to do that, one of the first things is it has to be flexible. It must become flexible in terms of being able to give the design, make the design changes as needed, but also to give a certain degree of autonomy to its teachers. Sometimes, with curriculum and in TVET, we tend to be a little bit inflexible. And one of the areas that we've looked at is being able to find ways so that the curriculum itself is a little bit more agile and the teachers have a bit of flexibility within that curriculum. The other side of that as well is that the evaluation of the curriculum has to be responsive to changes in the learning and societal needs. Because in a transformative future, and even now where things tend to be changing a little bit more rapidly, the curriculum then you have to have a process for being able to evaluate your curriculum that makes it responsive to those changes and being able to treat with those changes at the point in time when it's occurring. Another thing that we're looking at is that future teaching has to occur. Our teachers must recognize what competencies our students are going to need, or they didn't know and are going to need, and then be able to transform their strategies to treat with that and treat with those future competencies or competencies that we're being asked for now. So that and teaching has to be future driven, has to be responsive. In terms of technology, the technology also has to be implemented into the curriculum. Now, when we talk education technology, when we talk technology in education, most times we're just thinking about, the learning management software, digital simulators, online tools, and that has to be in the curriculum now, because even with this, with MIC's program, you realize they've moved to online and they've implemented the technology, not just because they want to be able to reach more people, but also where we're heading. Even now, this webinar is online, it's live and online. So then, by implementing this technology, it means that persons are used to it. They're able to use the educational technology and they're getting ready for what is going to happen in the future. But we're not just talking about that. We're talking about technology that is related to the definition of it, scientific knowledge and the use of equipment and machinery and software. That has to be developed, that has to be implemented into the curriculum and incorporated into the curriculum. Because we want to be able to give our young people that authentic learning experience. We want to enhance their learning outcomes. And we want to make sure that when they go out there, they've experienced it and they know how to use it. A third point I want to bring across is that curriculum has to be designed based on the needs of the industry and the needs of the different sectors that we're going into. Because what sense would it make if we're going in a particular direction in terms of the future, but my curriculum is not necessarily meeting that need, or it hasn't been designed to meet that particular need. So curriculum has to be designed based on where we're going. There has to be that holistic development plan that takes into consideration where the country is going, where we're going as a region, and then taking that plan and bringing it all the way down to the curriculum and the institutions and what we're delivering. So that even at NESC here, we're forward looking, we're looking at what's happening in the industry, and then we're looking at our curriculum and saying, okay, how do we then put those things in. What are the competencies for the future? What's the 21st century skills that must be in there? What is the industry asking for? And where is the country going? If the country is going to go into renewable energies, then you have to teach renewable energies now. You can't wait until it's needed and then you try to develop it. So curriculum, the 3 points I'm making, curriculum 1 has to be future driven. Curriculum and teaching has to be future driven and responsive. We have to implement the technology. And then third, we have to have a holistic approach to it, because wherever we're going, that direction that we're taking has to go all the way down to the curriculum, so that what we're teaching is what we're expecting in the future.
Thank you very, very much, Mr. Tony. One thing I wanted to thank you for those points. What I wanted to also add to that, or you could let me know, what about entrepreneurship and innovation, incorporating that into the curriculum? How do you think that can as well add to, that is something that can play into, ensuring the development of our youth, which I know, yes, but I think that is something also we can touch on as well. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. I want to put a plug because NESC has developed its renewable energy program that we hope to launch soon, and I'm crossing my fingers that we can go through all the processes with ACTT and everyone to get it going. And entrepreneurship and innovation is actually a course that has already been embedded in that program. Also, at the NESC, that is part of our mission statement to produce students who are both innovative and entrepreneurial. So that definitely has to form part of your curriculum, those particular skills. And that's why I'm saying 21st century skills. We have to look at the critical thinking, problem solving, being innovative, having entrepreneurial mindset. That has to be implemented into your curriculum now, because that is where the persons are going to have to, those are some of the skills that they're going to have to develop and show at that in that transformative future.
Indeed, indeed. Thank you, Ms. Digazon or Ms. Mitchell. Do you wish to add anything?
I just want to build on.
Mhm.
I just want to build on what he said there. Education is our passport to the future. For tomorrow belongs to the people who prepare for it today. So I'm just building on what you would have said just now. We have to prepare for it today, so we can prepare for tomorrow. Thank you, Madam Moderator.
All right. Ms. Digazon,
But I think what he has to say will feed into the area, in
yes,
particular, that we'll have to deal with
most certainly, most
So
certainly.
he's probably stole a little part of our youth development thing there. But it's happy that as as agencies, we are seeing how interconnected we must be. And I think
Correct.
that is critical going forward. We
Yes.
can no longer work in silos or else we'll be overrun. In terms of managing our own human resources, I think that is critical. So that is something that's stuck out, because you cannot talk about what NESC is doing without having proper tutors and tutors who are trained. And you will
Mhm.
see that necessity again when we bring in the youth development aspect of it. So we're talking about a continuum of services, and that's what I want to lay on the table here. And definitely want to take up the challenge of us to continue to work together so that
Mm.
we have what is necessary. I liked also that Mr. Tony brought in this whole need for a change in our focus through our curriculum. And we're
Mhm.
seeing a global change in where things are going. The things that we called skills previously, probably that world has been expanded. It's so limited now, and we're getting into a whole new area that is demanding. And so the question has to be posed as, how are we keeping up with that? How are we changing? And in terms of your curriculum at NESC, I know at one time you focused heavily on training of skills for the oil sector, and those kinds of things and so on. And maybe how are you stretching your boundaries or expanding your boundaries to now take into some of those new areas? We're talking about emotional intelligence and robotics, and are we getting on that train now?
Yeah, definitely. One of the things that we've been trying to do is in looking at your curriculum, you're just not talking about competence from the sense of your psychomotor domain, but you're also looking at your cognitive and your affective domains. So that when you build now, you're looking at the three areas and you're asking yourself if someone is meant to be competent in a particular area, it's not just from their ability to do it. It's your readiness to do it. It's your emotional state in doing it, and it's your knowledge in doing the entire thing. And what are the things that you recognize that must be needed? So, for example, if someone has to do something in terms of safety, they must be cognizant of things that are happening around them. They must have an appreciation for it. And that would form part of the affective domain. So that when we build now, you can't just identify that skill and say, okay, this skill and this is the activity to learn this skill, and you step away with that. You have to then think about the person's mind and the knowledge that they need to do it, because competence doesn't just refer to doing it, but it refers to also the knowledge and being able to have the right mindset and being prepared to be able to do it. So that is something that when we develop now, we take that into consideration so that when we write the curriculum, those things are actually on the list of things that we're writing. So that when you look at it, you say, okay, you can't leave this out. It must be included. So that I'm hoping that by this approach, we are able to and better influence what happens in the workplace and what happens with our young people as they come through our development and our experience.
Most
Yes, and building
definitely.
that more
That's
holistic
very
youth. Yes.
heartening. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Tony. Ms. Degazo, as the Director, Youth Development, what can you share with us about the plans and projections utilizing skills to enhance youth development? And I'm sure you would have a wealth of knowledge to share with us in that capacity, seeing that you have over 30 years experience dealing with youth, being involved in youth development.
Right. And thank you very much, moderator, for that. And that in itself is the challenge because you've seen such change take place, and in youth development, one always has to reevaluate what is relevant, what is now, what's happening in youth development, and to be able to keep abreast with preparing our young persons for that. So the Department of Youth Development is part of the broader division of community development, youth development, and sport. And traditionally, we are responsible, or the statutory agency that looks after maybe that transitioning period of youth development and how we prepare them in a holistic sense to take up their roles in society, but also to look after their own, attaining their own aspirations and where they want to see. And we know that youth is a dynamic um, time, it's a period of self discovery, of exploration, and critical in that is providing young persons with opportunities. So, over the last 2 years, I would say the department has been doing quite a lot in terms of redefining its focus through the development of our youth empowerment strategy, which we have completed and I think has recently had approval. So, with the upcoming fiscal, you should see elements of this now policy framework taking root and being implemented across the Tobago space. Some of the things that you will see, and the policy is focused on the issue of co-creation, and co-creation speaks to working with young persons. So it's no longer that we are doing for them, but we are doing with them. So that collaborative mechanism will inform how and shape how we implement things and prepare young persons to work within the broader society. Our division has historically been known, and one of the departments, our community development, for its annual skills training program, which caters both to adults and to young persons within the society. We've also initiated a number of small level, maybe more introductory skills training program at our youth centers. And you will see that growing in the next fiscal. So what we are doing is that we have been issuing a call for individuals to step up. The division is now looking at redefining its curriculum choices, and I see the need here for the collaboration with other entities because we too now are channeled with how do we retool young persons for the modern society and the modern needs that it has. So a look in the area, for example, some of the financial skills that may be necessary. We in this the critical thinking skills, and this is going maybe more in the realm of some of the soft skills that need to be included and work in tandem with the hard skills that we have. And Mr. Tony would have reflected on this when he spoke to things in the affective domain, helping the individual to be more understanding, to become a critical thinker, to solve problems, helping them to be more literate and understanding in terms of their own emotional intelligence and how they communicate and relate with each other and within the sectors. There is a whole new language and a whole new persona that has to be learned to operate in this flexible future that we are looking at. And some of those, the integration of those soft skills with some of the vocational areas that we have been doing is going to come more into focus. So when you talk skill development, of course, the technical skills cannot be divorced from what we term the life skills. So the combination of what we do in youth, community, and sport will see us working more on an integrated front so that we are retooling young persons to become more innovative, that they can be more confident within themselves, to be creators of inventions, you know, to innovate into new dynamic areas. Some areas of focus that we will have certainly is in terms of agriculture and food sustainability, so that you will see some initiatives coming to where we are encouraging young persons to innovate in how we do our forms of agriculture and how we grow food and create new products that will become prominent on the markets. The division is also in the next fiscal looking at developing what we will call the Tobago Skill Development Center. And in this area, we are working towards strategizing how we approach skill development. We recognize the need for introductory type programs, which you will see happening at our youth empowerment center, our youth development centers, and our Y zones, where we begin to perk the interest and the curiosity and help persons in discovering their interest in science, in technology, and in doing vocational skills. At our community centers and at the Tobago Skill Development Centers, you will more see the clearly defined programs of training that will seek to treat with some of the gaps that we have in Tobago at the level 1 and at the level 2, in terms of TVET skills that are available, because we do have some obvious gaps where for quite some time many of the skilled areas may only be available in Trinidad, and persons have to journey to be able to access those skills. So we are really working on a program to make it more available and accessible, and through some of the digital forms that our colleagues spoke about earlier, it certainly makes some of these areas more accessible to our young persons. So our work in the department really is an understanding also of what it has out there to offer, together with how our own understanding of youth and the needs of our young persons, and how we could bring those players together to achieve what is needed in this sector. Finally, I want to say the importance of training and retraining in a collaborative environment should help. And our end goal here is not just to improve the socio-economic conditions in Trinidad and Tobago, but in particular create greater opportunities for young persons. We know that there is a shrinking job market that it seems out there, and really the need now to help young persons to become entrepreneurs in their own rights and utilizing their innate skills, their innate talents, and their creativity, and coupling that with focused training in areas that are necessary within the job market. makes for a good outcome in terms of increasing employability for our young persons, in helping them to widen their options that are available to them, not only locally but regionally and internationally, and also preparing them in a way that they can empower their communities through the work that they will be doing. So I want to stop for there.
Yeah, I know. Thank you so much, Ms. Degazo. One thing, and I know we would have spoken about this in previous conversations, and something that you're very passionate about is, recognizing and certification of the youths.
Oh, most definitely. How
Yeah,
could I have forgotten to mention that? And that is
yes,
definitely one, Miss Walker, that is on our agenda.
yes.
In addition, coupled with our what we will be introducing at our Youth and Community Center, and both our departments of community development and youth development is working in that direction, so that we can recognize and deal with the issue of young persons who are skilled but not certified.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
that is a gap because traditionally in Tobago, sometimes you go and you learn by the mechanic down the road, or you go and learn by the electrician, but you never go through the issue of certification. So that we have quite a few skilled persons out there who are not certified, and this is one thing that we're reintroducing, working along with the NTA to ensure that we can certify our young persons at the levels of their competence, so that
Yeah.
they don't have to go through 2, 3, 4 years again of relearning or schooling in order to get their certification. So we really want persons to look out for this, work with us in getting it. We will be working towards getting the assessment centers up and so on, so that we can treat with the certification of persons. Right. Excellent.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Tony or Ms. Mitchell, you have any points you want to raise with Ms. Degazo?
That she quoted, as she stated, technical cannot be divorced from academics.
I love that. I wrote it down
The
as well,
two must go together. The two must go together. Kofi, I think we would have heard that
Yeah.
somewhere before. Yeah.
Yes, we
I
have.
Yeah.
And I
Technical
feel,
cannot be divorced from academics. They both go hand in hand.
Yes.
yeah,
yes,
and,
most
and I think
certainly.
looking
Most
at it as well,
certainly.
because when we talk about even what we do, our instructors, our teachers must be ready to be able to treat with the students that are coming. They must recognize the curriculum has to be written in the right way, and we must have the persons who are able to deliver that curriculum, and we have to remember who that curriculum is for.
Mm-hmm.
And if a lot of the times, we even in teaching, we forget who the curriculum is for, and we kind of bring it back to ourselves, and not recognizing that the way it goes across to the student is important, and that's why the teacher training is important, and that's why building the curriculum is in the right way is important. So I'm happy to be involved in this with these two esteemed ladies, because I see where we can continue to have these conversations.
Yeah, I think the
Most
panel
definitely.
was well selected. I didn't realize that what we do is so connected, because you really
Yes,
can't
yes.
divorce what we're doing. So at the end, where we are involved in understanding youth and then ensuring that they are aware of the opportunities that exist and encouraging them into these fields of endeavor, really speaks to linking the training that is happening out there, the trainers in the first instance, and also the curriculum that will be developed, understanding where they are at and taking them where they need to be. And I think that has been a gap in what we do. We have been operating too much in silos, and there really is a need for greater collaboration, so that the information we gather from our interactions with young persons can be fed into informing how the curriculums are developed, how they are catered for, how the tutors are trained, with a greater awareness and appreciation for the needs of our young people. So I think this combination is an excellent one. So congratulations to NTA for putting this together.
Yes, I see.
I just want to add to that what you said in the context, and all of that in the context of where are we going as a region, as a nation? Where do we want to end up? Because if we don't know that, then building all of this will make no sense, because we'll have persons who are graduating and have nowhere to go.
Yeah,
And that is an issue that we're dealing with right now.
yeah, yeah. I think it's engaging all of us because the world is changing. It's not static. I mean, even within the last 3 years, you know, um, the market has changed. And I think we're all aware of that. And for us, sometimes we appreciate the need for research and study and those kinds of things to inform us. But unfortunately, sometimes we act very slowly, and we need to do some catching up so that we remain relevant and we can give persons choices of career options that are
Yeah.
realistic, feasible, you know.
I'm actually glad that you touched on that point that you just made there in terms of giving the youths guidance, because some of them really need that career guidance and counseling, because sometimes they're very unsure about what path to take, and they actually need this guidance so they can make these informed decisions about their career and their pathways, and to know more about the labor market trends and those educational opportunities or training opportunities that are out there for them. So I think having someone to actually mentor them and providing the guidance and counseling is very critical for youths today as well.
I don't know if Mr. Tony can speak to it, but that divide, I think we need to talk about it, the importance of persons also having an appreciation for academic and even some of the social life skills that they need to have to be able to function in a technical environment properly. Because for a long time, we've been saying that skill development or technical areas are for persons who can't make it in the academic field. And so very often you find the persons who may be deemed, for want of a better word, failing in the academics, you jump across the skills as an alternative because that is what I have to do. He didn't make it, and we've often heard, watch me, the boy can't make it in school, so send him to learn a trade, right? How do you cater for that in the training of your tutors and your curriculum? Because these are persons who are not only coming in with low academic qualification, but sometimes they are demotivated because they are labeled as being not so bright. How do you set your curriculum to rebuild that? And we need to change that outlook for skills and trade, because that's where the money is. How are we changing that thinking
Oh, yes.
so that people
Skills pay the bill.
Yeah, so one of the things that we've done is, and a lot of institutions have done this in terms of the clients and the math applied, so that the way it goes into the curriculum is that you're using it, and in using it, you realize, oh wait, this is algebra. I didn't realize it was algebra all the time, or this is science, So one of the things that we've done is we've tried to first embed that into the curriculum so it becomes applied. And in it being applied and you recognizing that you can do it, then all of a sudden now your mindset changes and you're able to actually do the math because you didn't realize that you were doing it all along. The other thing is we try not to shock persons in when they come in, because if you're coming from a demotivated place, if you come into a system and you're constantly failing in that system as well, is going to also have an effect on you and may lead to you dropping out. So I think one of the other things is looking at your programs and leveling them out so that when persons come in, they're going from a fundamental level, moving into those those levels, increasing in difficulty as you go along, of scaffolding the person into where you want them to go. So that you look at things like a zone of proximal development and all of that. So you're identifying, okay, where do I want them to go? Where are they now? And saying, okay, this is the zone in between. How am I going to create those ladders in between that's going to just move them in those incremental steps, so that before they know it, they're really doing it, but it's along what seems to be an easier path when really and truly you're able to do it as you go along. And for us, it's really now being able to match this against what academia is doing. So that you're saying, okay, if this person is at this level in a TVET system, why is the TVET system divorced from the academic system? Why can't we find ways to put those together? It has been a challenge, and I know the conversations continue to go on because academia may say, well, okay, you don't have the level of science or math to be able to cope with my programs. Well, then we need to embed those things. So even at NESC now, the students do the group assignments, they do the research assignments. They are forced to go online and find it and come back and say, okay, tell me where you got this from. How does it apply to what you're doing now? And if we take that approach, eventually we're going to narrow that gap between the two spheres of education. But for now, and culture has a lot to do with it as well. There's a feeling that they can't be integrated. I don't agree with that feeling, but we have to find ways. Yes, we have to find ways. And at NESC, we're hoping that we're narrowing the gap because our program is at a diploma level. And we've been finding ways to continuously do it. I think the next step for us as an institution is being able to then integrate into those degree programs so our students can have that level of, can continue their education in a particular way. Those are conversations that I know are ongoing, and we're hoping that we can strengthen that and strengthen our curriculum to make sure that happens.
Nice.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. Okay, we just have about 7 minutes to go. So before we actually run out of time, I want to invite the audience, those who are viewing online, if they have any questions for us before we actually wrap up. And while we actually wait on those questions, I could actually have some closing remarks from my three esteemed panelists. Brief closing remarks for audience.
See- Seeing that I started first, I will close first. I want to say thank you to NTA for this initiative. I want to say thank you for allowing me to meet with Mr. Gazon. I have already met Mr. Tony, but I want to say again, still thank you for bringing us together for this initiative. And what I'm hearing now and what I'm seeing, this is not the end of this conversation. It's an introduction to what is to come. As we say, transformative future, we will be transforming the future, three of us, in the little spaces that we can transform. So I want to say again, thank you for this opportunity.
No problem, Ms. Michelle.
Okay. Well, I will jump in here. I'm not going last this time. So I'll jump in here, Mr. Tony, before you. In saying that, I think I already have something that we can collaboratively work on, that we have started working on now. Um, Madam Moderator knows that we have things that we're working on and really want to drive forward. But certainly in the area of providing options for youth. Every day we have young people not knowing what to do, where to go. They've done their 5 or 7 years of school and they come out and they're still wondering what to do and where to go. And so we have been thinking about this sector of young persons who have an interest. They're not making it academically. They are talented, they are creative, they have an interest, but there are so many little career options for them. They know carpenter, mason, plumbing, electrician, or mechanic. And outside of that, it seems to be, a kind of gloomy outlook in relation to that. And I really want to challenge not only you, but the other educators out there, the other institutions who are out there will be calling on you, because we do want to put together career options in the technical vocational area, so that we can put out these real options to our young persons, because we know that there is more than meets the eye when you look into this sector. And we do want as a division to be able to present those realistic opportunities and pathways through which they can realistically get into the field of technical vocational skill training and development. So I'm pleased to participate in this, and this is a very good jumping off point for us to continue the excellent work that we have been doing, and I know the NTA has been doing to move forward in this direction. So I want to say congratulations to the National Training Agency, and thank you for inviting us to this platform today.
Most certainly. Mr. Tony. Oh,
Yes, I'm going last this time, but I really don't mind, because I'm jumping off of what Mr. Gosam said, and one of those things you talked about is pathways, and I think that as young persons, when you're trying to find something to do, or you're trying to develop your career or identify your career, you need to know what that pathway to that career is, and I think one of the challenges with TVET is being able to clearly identify my pathway. If I want to be a doctor, I know exactly what I have to do. If I want to be an engineer, I know exactly what I have to do. But if I want to be an electrician, what do I need to do and where do I need to go? How do I become a certified or a licensed electrician? And I think that's one of the things that we need to be clear on. How do persons move from where they are to where they want to be, and have a very, very clear and communicated path for that. And I think with us, especially with the NTA involved and the agencies and youth development involved, we can have to create those pathways for our young people so that they know it's not just about from an academia sense, but if I want to go along a TVET line and this is the career I've chosen, this is exactly what I need to do and where I need to go. And I think that would really make a huge difference in moving this forward. So thank you to the NTA for bringing us together.
not a problem. And I would take this opportunity to express my sincere gratitude to our esteemed panelists, Ms. Digazon, Mr. Tony, and Ms. Mitchell. Your insights and expertise have truly enlightened us during this webinar. And the wealth of knowledge you have shared will undoubtedly resonate with and inspire many individuals. Serving as your moderator today has been a privilege, and I extend my heartfelt thank you to each of you for your invaluable time and priceless contributions to this World Youth Skills Day 2023 webinar. Ladies and gentlemen, or audience or viewing audience, that is all the time we have for today. We hope that you enjoyed today's webinar, and we invite you to look out for the upcoming webinars from the National Training Agency. Have a pleasant afternoon, evening.
Thank you.